Well, greetings to you and welcome to this episode of Just a Few. My name is Patrick Antwine, and I take this opportunity to thank you for joining me on this platform. It's a platform that provides me an opportunity to provide biblical responses to questions from people from the wider society just like you. And if you have a question and you'd like for me to attempt an answer if I can, please feel free to submit that question via email preferably. I'll leave the email address on the screen, and I'll try to provide a response once I can, as soon as possible. Today's question actually, to some people, might seem like, what type of question is this? But to not provide an answer will not just be disrespectful on my part, but it would send a message that some questions are foolish. And I think when it comes to the Bible, I often tell, I have two daughters. Growing up, they would have questions. I often let them know, listen, no question is a foolish question. Just ask and I'll try to help you to answer. Help you with an answer. So this question is, to some people, seem like an obvious thing. Everybody should know that. Not necessarily. So having said that, let me jump to the question. The question is, was Jesus's surname Christ? And I have been asked that question previously, many years ago, by someone who is not really even a child. So a child may ask that question, and they deserve an answer. But even there are adults who might not be familiar with the Bible, who might just simply realize their understanding of what the Bible teaches might be flawed or based on faulty understanding of what's happening in the Bible. So I'll be only too happy to provide a quick answer to that question and an explanation. So my response to you with that is that no, that wasn't a surname. When I was growing up, you go to school and you have to write your name on books, whether it's exercise books or textbooks. And so you normally, in our Western culture, we have our given names or names. Some people have one, some people have more than one. So in my case, my given name was Patrick. And then your family name is what you know as your surname. Here in Trinidad, I remember as a kid growing up, we often made the mistake of calling your family name your title. So even the teachers would say, "What's your title?" And I would say Antwine, and so they would write down. But that's not really a title. That's a surname or your family name. A title is like Mr. or Mrs. or Doctor or whatever title a person may have, Prime Minister or President, and so those are titles. Those are not surnames. In Middle Eastern cultures, especially in tribal cultures, even today, most people some of them have one name. They're just known by one name. They don't even have a family name. In Eastern cultures, like in China, I've since learned that normally people put their family name first and then their name. So you tell what family you're from, your surname, as we'll say here, and then your name. We have it, of course, the other way around. In our culture, we put our first name, if we have a middle name, and then our family name or surname. So in Jesus's time, they did not have family names mentioned like the way we do. So that's why you're thinking that's his surname or family name, that Joseph, Jesus's legal father, that you think that his name was Joseph Christ and Jesus took his name, he's now Jesus Christ. No, that's not the way it worked in that culture. Christ is actually not a surname, it's a title. Jesus was his given name, and even that has a meaning. It means Savior. You shall call his name Jesus, for he shall save his people from their sin, the angel told Joseph and Mary. So that's a name, a given name. But Christ was not a family name or surname. Christ was a title by which Jesus, as in his office as what is known as the Savior, the Messiah, was known. So that when you look at a verse like Matthew 16:16, when Jesus asks his disciples, "Whom do men say that I am?" And Peter is the one in Matthew 16:16 who steps forward and says, "You are the Christ." Notice what he says before Christ, the Christ. This is a title. which in the Hebrew language means, it's transliterated into English, the Messiah, they will say Messiah, and in the Greek language it's Christos, from which we get the English word Christ, or we leave out the word the, which is the definite article, which exists in most other languages and cultures. So it's a title which indicates that he is the long-promised Messiah, or anointed one, or commissioned one, who came into the world to accomplish a special task of redemption. That's what the Messiah came to do. So that's a title, and a title is different from a name or a surname. Sometimes, sadly, you hear people introducing themselves and they say, my name is Patrick, not just Patrick, my name is Pastor Patrick Advent. No, Pastor is not your name. That's a title. They didn't ask for your title, they asked for your name. So if you're giving your name, give your name. You don't need a title, because that's not part of your name. That's a part of a description of who you are, what portfolio you may hold. But it's always sad when you see someone introducing themselves and think they have to have a title before their name. That's not a name. You don't introduce yourself with your title, you just give your name. So that's what Christ means, or the Christ is the better thing to say, Jesus the Christ or Jesus the Messiah. They didn't have family names like we have, or surnames. Sometimes if they want to refer to the family from which you came, they will say Jesus Ben, which means son, Joseph, meaning Jesus is son of Joseph. They might give the name of your father to know which family you came from, or Jesus of Nazareth, which tells you where you came from. Those are types of things that they use to identify a person, and you need to distinguish between names, titles, and even places in the Bible. The Christ or Christ is not a surname, and it's a title, and Jesus often was referred to by that title. That's like we refer to some people as president or the prime minister. The Christ was a title. Your question is not a foolish one. You'll be surprised that there are many other people who feel that way when they read the Bible, that Jesus' surname or family name was Christ. No, it wasn't. That's a title. So I trust that my explanation helped you to better understand what the Bible is saying when it uses that title. My name is Patrick Antwine. Again, thank you for the question, and grace and peace be multiplied to you.